Pounders, welcome back. Today, we're going to be covering the best and worst values in Yahoo Fantasy Football. I'll try to keep in mind 2 RB, 2 wide receiver, 3 wide receiver, half point and full point PPR leagues for you guys as we go along. But first, a little bit about myself. Been playing fantasy football since 2012, and I have a heavy focus on the playoff weeks. Right here, my name's Pat. 25 teams managed, 8 first place trophies. I usually do 2 to 3 leagues a year. I have a heavy focus on those playoff weeks. I only have a win rate of 55%. It's pretty average, but I'm okay giving up the early portion of the season and having a lot of upside for the end of the season. So hopefully I can sort of teach you my ways as we go through the top 200 ADP on Yahoo, the rankings as they're set right now, and how I would raise certain values and how I would fade other players as well. So let's jump right into it. First round, relatively sharp, right? Maybe a soft fade for me on Kelsey. I would rather take a shot on one of those later tight ends being a better value at their ADP than Kelsey in the first round, where he has to be the top dog. He has to outscore the second best tight end by a wide margin due to the amount of draft capital you're spending on him with pick 7. That's just going to be my take for Kelsey this season. Tyreek Hill, surprising, and this might surprise you guys. It surprised me when I looked at it. He finished as wide receiver 2 in full point PPR. He finished as wide receiver 3 in half point. Devontae Adams finished as wide receiver 2 in half point PPR, wide receiver 3 in full point PPR. So just something interesting. And the news came out that he's not going to be suspended for his off the field actions. Good news for Hill. But this round's very standard. Now, if you are in just a 2 wide receiver league with a standard 1 flex, you have to bump up these running backs. Honestly, it's not even a bad strategy to go double elite RB in a league like that. But when you get into those leagues that have 3 wide receivers and you need to start 3 weekly, that's when receiver in RB, there's a nice little balance. In my mind, there's better strategy in those leagues. Otherwise, running backs, they take the cake over like Diggs and Kelsey in this round. But 3 wide receiver leagues is sort of what I will focus. And just know if you're in an only 2 wide receiver league that you should be bumping up those running backs. In this first round, I don't see any crazy like bad value picks. You can make a case for every single one of these guys. Lamb versus AJ Brown, whatever your favorite is there. There's not a huge disparity on like how they performed last season and most likely how they'll perform this year. And you think about Philly, how they were up by so many points in the fourth quarter last year that they didn't have to throw the ball that much. If that changes, you could see a huge ceiling increase on Brown, on Devonta Smith, on Goddard too. We'll talk about that when we get to him. But Dallas loses a red zone target in Schultz. Schultz goes to Houston. They're going to rock it with Jake Ferguson, as well as Schoonmaker, the rookie. Schoonmaker, and he's practicing. So right here, there's nothing crazy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. This is going to be the group that hopefully I have the right draft pick in the draft to get one of these guys in the second round. Because these ADPs are the ones that I'm interested in, especially Devontae Adams. And then I'd put Amon-Ra, then Garrett Wilson is how I would rank those 3. Derrick Henry, Jacobs, these ADPs are fine. Waddle, fine. Smith, I don't see anything crazy here. ETN going at 23 is criminal. It's criminal. And we're going to target some running backs that go a little later. So first and second round, I think these running backs are fine. Barkley, Pollard, ADPs are fine. ETN at this price is a no-go for me. Cross him off the list. Mixon, crossed off the list. Najee, see you later. Crossed off the list. Now, we do want to draft a little differently and redraft versus Bestball, where you guys most likely know me from, drafting 900 teams on Underdog Fantasy. And if you're not already on Underdog, use code POUNDERS for a first-time 100% deposit on your first for a max of 100. You put in 100, you get 200. You put in 25, you get 50. Instant. T. Higgins at 27, Aaron Jones at 28. This is gross. This is disrespectful, these ADPs. So T. Higgs, these receivers, I'm fine with. And Mahomes at 30, this is okay too. Like this price is, it's fine. It depends on your strategy, right? Do you want to be checking the waiver wire every single week and sort of playing the matchups with QBs? That's what I typically do. But if you want that guy that you pretty much set it and forget it for the whole year, those top 5, 6 QBs, you can typically do that with. Just because, I mean, some of these guys have crazy rushing upside that it gives them a high floor as well as a high ceiling. It's just a different breed of animal. So I also like going QB if I'm confident, which I am, and I'm confident I can teach you guys to how to target the values on the back end. So not only are you just elite at QB, but now you're getting those sleepers at running back. You're getting those good values at wide receiver and tight end. And now you create a super team, an unstoppable force. And that is what we're going to do today. Dobbins, too rich. Metcalf, this is good. Stevenson, I'd rather Stevenson at 31 than where ETN's going. The price is ridiculous. Pierce, he's steamed up. Andrews, this price is fine for him. Just because, like, again, look where Kelsey's going. He's going at 7 overall. Now, you can get Mark Andrews at 37. If he comes within 10% of that production that Kelsey can do, that means Andrews ends up being of value. And that's the toughest part about Kelsey, is he has to battle every single tight end. No tight end after him can come within 10%. Or even like if a tight end in the 6th or 7th round, like Freiermuth or someone that goes a little later, like Njoku, comes within 12, 15%, they're likely still the better value because they're also getting an elite receiver or an elite running back in that first round. That's why Kelsey's tough for me. Mari Cooper, Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall, these are fine. Miles Sanders, nope, out. Debo, Lockett. This one's sketchy. 43 for Lockett. We have the injury news with JSN, right? The rookie they drafted in the first round, first wide receiver off the board. He's catching punts. He's practicing. He's catching passes. He might miss week 1. He might miss the first 2 weeks. This is rich for Lockett. Now, if JSN was never there, like, sure, you could probably put Lockett here. But by the end of the season, we expect JSN to gain a bigger role, which means a smaller role for Lockett, who we know doesn't need a ton of targets to be efficient. 74% catch rate last season with Geno. Nice connection there, but in redraft, I don't want to have to guess when to start him. And with JSN coming in, he's going to take 18 to 22% of that target share, is my guess. Kenneth Walker, price is fine. Madison, I'm just a never Madison guy. If you are, feel free to take him here. JT, he probably still has to go later with that 4-game suspension. I'm not drafting him here. Keenan Allen, Drake London, Deontay Johnson. I'm cool with this group. I'm probably like in redraft where I'm playing my buddies and we play for blood. I'm putting Deontay Johnson ahead of Keenan Allen. And it's just from a reliability standpoint that Keenan Allen, man, can't stay healthy. And do we think he's going to stay healthy this year, another year older? It's tough for me. And I can beat my buddies elsewhere, right? Without having to worry about that injury. So give me Deontay Johnson just slightly right above Keenan Allen, to be honest. And these are guys full point PPR cats. Like these are heavy focuses, but even in half point PPR, this seems like the right spot for them. Cam Akers, don't love the price. TJ Hawk, it's fine. McLaurin probably still has to go later. James Cook has to go later. We saw Damian Harris play with the ones in the preseason, get the red zone carry, and execute from the 2-yard line. It could be a problem for James Cook at this price, especially. I'm not willing to buy in at this price. DJ Moore, Ayuk, Fields. I like Fields at this price. Seems like a good area to take a stab at one of those elite QBs. He finally gets a true number 1 in DJ Moore. I mean, Is this the same story that we saw with Josh Allen where they brought in Stephon Diggs? Is this the same story that we saw with Jalen Hurts when they brought in A.J. Brown? A huge step forward for these QBs. I like it, man. I like Fields this season. I'm ready to risk it on him. 59.60 seems a little rich for these two running backs, but you have to take into account like all the other running backs are getting steamed up too, like where ETN and Aaron Jones, all those guys are going. It's not the worst price. Maybe you don't have a running back yet and you want to anchor it down with David Montgomery. I'd be okay with that. Let's go to the next page here. Joe Burrow at 61. Insane value. And it's not even the best QB value. We'll get to him. It's about to get dirty. It's about to get dirty. Christian Watson, I'm fine with it. You have the injury to Romeo Doubs. Does this allow Christian Watson to get some of that early steady production? Because we know he has a high ceiling. But in redraft, you want to have to guess when to start these guys. It's going to depend. Can he earn a large target share based on his role and be more than like Tyler Lockett back in 2018 where you had to guess when to start him? Chris Godwin, full PPR cat. This ADP is fine for him even in half point. I'd take him over Mike Evans pretty easily. Again, Mike Evans, first off, didn't play with Baker in the preseason, is dealing with a little injury there. Chris Godwin seems to already be the favorite target for Baker. And yeah, I mean, Pittman, I'm just gonzo, dude. Not in this range. Jahan Dotson, easy click. Mike goddamn Williams. If this guy stays healthy, you pair Mike Williams with Justin Herbert, who goes at 77. 77. You're stealing money from your league mates. You're stealing it. You know, Christmas time comes, all your girls' presents are paid for. Or if you're a girl, all your guys or whoever you're dating, whoever you want to date, you're going to buy them whatever they want. Mike Williams and Herbert are going to take you to the promised land at this ADP. Insane. Absolutely insane values. Trevor Lawrence, 72. Like these QBs, I like significantly better than the early elites just because of the discount you're getting on these guys. And you're still getting consistency from these guys as well. Darren Waller, his ADP's okay. White, this is a fine click for White, especially when Khalil Herbert goes 3 picks after him. Like, no. White's fine here. Javonte Williams, I'm not risking it on these ACL guys too much in redraft. Like, we're talking about friendships are on the line here. We're talking about friendships. We're talking about championships. I can just find better value and not have to risk that. Pickens, I think, is a fine click here. Freiermuth seems expensive, but again, he gives you probably a higher floor at the tight end position, which is just nice from a weekly starting standpoint, not having to worry about it. I get that. Swift is fine. I mean, we're talking about the number one O-line in the league. Is it going to be Swift? Is it going to be Penny on the goal line? That we don't know just yet. Can Penny stay healthy for a full season? Like, hasn't happened in 5 years, so we'll see. Gabe Davis, 84. And this pick's interesting, right? Like, I think you can honestly go Gabe Davis with or without Josh Allen. But if I do it without Josh Allen, I'm more likely to try to sell him after a few good games to the team that has Josh Allen, and I'm trying to get a player that I think could be more steady because I think of Gabe Davis as that boomer bust cat. Now they add a pass catching tight end who might be playing the slot in most of his snaps in Kincaid. So Gabe Davis at 84. If I'm drafting him, I'm looking most likely to trade him to the Josh Allen team after a few good games. Jordan Addison, this ADP is fine for the Rook. But I would rather JSN. I'd rather take a shot on JSN. Who goes later? AJ Dillon at 86. This is okay if you're looking for like your RB2 range, Dillon or Gibson. Daniel Jones at 88. Like, I'm the biggest Daniel Jones stan. I'm a fan. I'm a stan. Danny Dimes, baby. Right? 88 is terrible price. Like, and the reason being is like you have Justin Herbert not even going a full round before him. And then, I mean, even the price on any of these guys, Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow, give me them at that price versus Daniel Jones at his. Can he pay out this price? Sure, but it just doesn't seem like the best value where Herbert can prove to be, a pick where he should be going pick 40 or 45 very easily. If he could stay healthy, if his receivers stay healthy, they get the rookie involved in Quentin Johnston, he can very easily pay out multiple rounds ahead of where he's being drafted. Where Daniel Jones, he likely is not going to do that, where he would be worth picks 50 or 60 this year. I think he has a good chance to pay out this ADP if he gets sniped on all the other QBs, but I would rather the ones that go before him. Dak, same exact reason as Daniel Jones. I just prefer the other values. Robinson, JSN. We're talking about who cares about the first 3 games of the year, right? You can start 0-3. I've started 0-3 multiple times. Too many times. But when you focus upside and you focus the fantasy football playoffs, this is that guy. This is that guy that's going to have the upside during that time. He should actually have a role relatively early into the season. I think by week 5, 6, you'll start to see spike weeks from JSN and some consistency. And another thing, like focusing the playoffs, I might not be drafting a lot of Derrick Henry in redraft this year, but you can count on me trading for him before the NFL deadline, trade deadline. It's around November 10th on redraft. If Derrick Henry's still healthy, I'm going to target him as a trade because I want that playoff schedule. He plays Houston twice. He plays in week 15. He plays in week 17, one of the worst run defenses. So keep the playoffs in mind. It's where all the money's at. So if you can afford to have a guy miss 2 weeks, and it's not like he's an early pick, you very easily can. I'm getting JSN on every single team. If you guys haven't already, please go down, smash the like button for me. Comment below where you think some of these QBs should go. Who's your favorite value QB that we went over so far? Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing this content all season long. P. Ryan, gross. 95, man. We're talking about a handcuff, right? So you can't have it both ways. You can't have Javonte Williams at pick 70 and then have P. Ryan at 95. It can't happen. You got to pick one or the other. And I really think the fantasy football community is split on this. They think Javonte Williams not ready with that knee injury, serious knee injury. I'm thinking he's going to take over the first 6 weeks and then he'll have a large role continued into the season with the potential re-injury risk for Javonte. But then you have Javonte with positive injury news practicing, supposedly going to be ready for week 1. It's like, what do we think's going to happen here? And then at the end of the day, what do you win? Right? You get in the running back on Denver's offense. Denver loses Tim Patrick. They lose Judy to an injury right now. Expected back, obviously. But it's not going to be like this high-powered offense that should be driving to the red zone like consistently. At least not in my eyes. So what do you get when you get the RB2 on the team in Denver? I don't love that. Bateman, however, I think this pick's great for Bateman. Sutton, you could tickle me into Sutton because of the news to Judy and because of where they actually have Marvin Mims ranked. They have him ranked pretty sharply on here around pick 120, and we'll get to that. I would rather just Marvin Mims later, most likely. I think he's going to have more upside than Sutton, but supposedly everything coming out of camp, Sutton looks good. Is he just a preseason guy? I guess we'll find out. Deshaun Watson, Tua, this range is fine for QB. Geno Smith, Njoku. Like, I wouldn't mind if my first tight end off the board was Njoku. I think this is a good range for it. Charbonnet's fine as well, just based on the prices. Like, I would rather have the RB2 in Seattle than the RB2 in Denver. Give me Charbonnet over P. Ryan. Nico Collins, Gainwell, man, this is too much, dude. We got 4 running backs in Philly. I expect 2 to be able to have really good years. The other 2, like Boston Scott and Gainwell, I just think it to be change of pace type running backs. They have a big lead. they put these guys in to run out the clock, which you saw a ton in Philly last year. McKinnon, at 106, feels bad. Feels bad. Also, like, he'll be part of those red zone packages, so he's going to be very touchdown reliant. I think he's going to be tough to sort of pick when you start and sit. So I'm going to mostly fade just McKinnon at this price in my mind. Nico Collins seems to be the favorite target right now for the rookie in Houston. A-Rich at 108. You can put him on the bench and sort of see what that upside looks like. Maybe you don't get a QB until, this Tua or Geno range and you want double tap. That's fine. Like, A-Rich has a ton of upside. We'll see if he can unlock his true potential. I don't have super high hopes for it in redraft, though. Rodgers, Sky Moore, Tony's coming back. It's just ugly for the KC receivers. I don't know about you guys, but when I think about, like, Sky Moore, yes, he has the chance to take that second-year step. That's what we all want to see. But then you have Casey saying, like, Tony's our clear number one. Tony's hurt right now, but now you're getting positive news that he's coming back. It's like, it's going to be tough. Mahomes spreads the ball to multiple receivers. I expect to see that again this season. It's going to be hard to pick and choose when to start him. Chiggy, 111, seems expensive. I'm just fading this price. Juju, Tyler Algier, I think these are okay. Higbee's too expensive. Kirk, Penny, Damian Harris, Treylon Burks. Dude, I'm targeting Treylon Burks. He's already practicing. Before the injury, he was going around pick 80. He's already practicing. Put him on your bench. Who cares if he misses 2 to 4 weeks even? Focus the upside at the end of the season. That's the Treylon Burks click. And I got news for you today. Jeff Wilson on the IR. RIP to my Jeff Wilson shares. Dalton Kincaid, Marvin Mims, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers goes probably too late. I like him at this price. Probably over Marvin Mims as well. I'm fine with that. Kincaid at 121. I'd much rather do this than go Sam Laporte at 126. And, like, what's the real difference between, like, Jalen Warren, Tank Bigsby, these RB2s on their team who should have set roles every single week? We expect Jalen Warren, obviously, to have a role even earlier than Tank Bigsby, a rookie. What's the difference between Jalen Warren at 127 and P. Ryan, who's being drafted inside the top 100? They're both handcuff running backs who should have a role weekly. I mean, I'm expecting a jump up from Kenny Pickett in this Pittsburgh offense. Like, give me Jalen Warren. They still have the contingent upside of an injury to the starter, whether it be Najee or whether it be Javonte Williams or whether it be ETN. I would much prefer this range than the P. Ryan range for these handcuffs, and they should have similar upside. Raheem Mostert's very clickable now with Jeff Wilson going on the IR. Cole Kmet, I'm cool if he's my first tight end off the board. If I'm stacked at every other position, that's fine. Jared Goff. Jared Goff's a steady QB. And now you give him Jahmyr Gibbs. Now you give him a pass-catching tight end in Sam Laporta. He's going to have JMO after week 6. Obviously not the best news from camp and the injury, but 6 weeks to heal. And he'll figure it out. He's a talented receiver. Worst case, he spreads the field and makes Amon-Ra St. Brown's job and Sam Laporta's job and Reynolds' job easier. The running game easier. So it's positive. It's overall positive for Goff. Probably goes too late in my mind. Gallup, Lazard, this range is like the bench range, right? And we're looking for that upside pick. It's a tough range. Mooney, I think, is interesting. There were some trade rumors around Chicago. Now, I don't think they could really even get what they would want for him, so I doubt he moves. But there's a lot of wide receiver teams that are needy. A lot of wide receiver needy teams, I should say, that could really benefit from Darnell Mooney. And that's where like his true upside would be unlocked. Romeo Doubs dealing with an injury right now, but this price isn't the worst. I just don't love this range for receivers really in redraft. I guess Lazard, one of the more steady guys, an Aaron Rodgers guy, and they get rid of Corey Davis in the Jets, kind of shoring up his spot even more there for Lazard. Kendre Miller injured his hamstring again today. A roller coaster of emotions all offseason with Kendre. Strap in if you're on that train with me. Juwan Johnson, 149. I like this ADP for him. Donta Foreman, not touching him. We're going through every single player, fellas. 200 picks. If you're enjoying the content, go down, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments if you have any disagreements. I'd love to hear them. Zay Jones at 151. Yes. Yes. There's rumors that he might be playing ahead of Christian Kirk in 2 wide receiver sets where Christian Kirk's mainly going to be the slot guy this year. If that happens, oh man. Oh man. And Zay Jones, it doesn't even have to happen. It doesn't even have to happen for Zay Jones to pay out this ADP. But if it does, he would be a ridiculous value. If it doesn't, I still think he's a good value here. He has a connection with Trevor Lawrence, especially in the red zone, which is especially important for half-point PPR, those 6-point touchdowns. Let's get him. Hunter Henry seems a little expensive here for Hunter Henry. 18 to 155 is going to be one of my targets in this range for sure. 100% targeting him, especially with the new news to Jeff Wilson going on the IR. ADPs have not had a chance to adjust. Definitely a main target here. Shaheed, you got to ignore this, basically. It's too tough to guess when to start him. It's going to be too tough. Pickett, this is such a value here. Crazy value on Pickett. Even Russell Wilson, I think this is a good ADP for Russ, where he goes on underdog at like 128, 130. Expensive here. I'm fine with this. Dolchich at 156. Mingo at 157 isn't bad. KJ Osborne. This is a nice little leverage play if Addison gets hurt, Hawkinson, or Jefferson. Now he's going to be better in best ball, but at pick 172 to have on your bench, it's I don't know, they like to pass the ball. They came in the bottom 5 in rush attempts last year under the new OC. I believe we're seeing more of this, more passing heavy going into 2023. So nice little bench stash there for KJ, I believe. JMO at 176. This ADP makes a lot of sense for him. And this is where I'm willing to take the bet on him. And especially if you have an IR spot in your league where you can just draft, you're done, put in the IR spot in 4 suspensions. If you have that, you have to clarify 4 suspensions. Then you can just go on the waivers and pick someone up. It's a good way to get an extra player. And a lot of people don't use that enough. So think about that. Drafting players that are on the IR with your last pick, putting into that IR spot on your team. It opens up a roster spot, and then picking up someone else off waivers. Should always have someone on the IR if that spot's available. Rashawn Johnson, 179. Yes, sir. He will be on a lot of my teams. And the final stretch, DPJ, Lenny, where the hell is Lenny going to land? I think it's a little scary that the Patriots worked him out. They worked Zeke out. They go Zeke over Lenny, and Zeke does not look like he's in very good shape. So what's that mean for Lenny? There's still some good landing spots for him. So if he doesn't get drafted, keep your eye on him. I just think he's low. He doesn't have a high ceiling, right? So kind of like a high mid floor in full point PPR, low floor, low ceiling in half point in my mind. Hodgins, this ADP is fine for Hodgins. Basically the only receiver over 6'3" on the team. Now you have Waller, who you could sort of see like a KC type offense where it just revolves, all the target share revolves around the tight end, and then the ball gets spread out. But I like Hodgins at 183. Rice at 184. This is definitely a good spot to take a risk on him. Knox is in this range too at 195. We don't know. Is Buffalo going to do more 2 tight end sets? Is Knox going to be still a part of that package in the red zone? If he is, pick 195's insane. It's insane. So keep that in mind. Derek Carr at 189. I don't typically like to go 2 QBs on my team. Now, if everyone's grabbing a second QB, it doesn't hurt you as much. But if you're in sharper leagues where the teams that don't get an elite QB and they're basically just going to be going based off matchups, and Maybe you're targeting a matchup already in week 1. You know Derek Carr's matchup, and you're saying, yep, he's going to be QB8 this week, and that's who I want to start. And then every week you're just dropping and picking up just based off the matchups. You can definitely do that with QBs, and you should be doing that with defenses. It's very rare that you can set and forget a defense based on matchup. Devontae Parker, 200. See if anyone, when we scroll down, just basically ignoring Pierce Jr. at this point. Hope this gives you like a better idea of these ADPs. Alec Pierce at 196 isn't even the worst play. This team has 3 receivers on their roster right now. Him, Josh Downs, and Pittman. Alec Pierce being the deep shot guy, probably not going to be that consistent, but pick 196. He's definitely worth an ad. Reed at 193. Definitely going to be targeting a Reed in this range at 193. So I like Reed. I like Knox. Carr's a good price. And Rice, Hodgins. Those are going to be my main targets for this round. But guys, if you haven't already, on the way out, if you enjoyed tonight's live stream, smash the like, smash the subscribe. I'll catch you guys on Tuesday nights with Dooley doing the Battle Royale. So make sure you hit the bell for notifications and you join some of those live drafts with us. I appreciate you all. Have a good night, Pounders.